a lot of interesting things about how to handle this. So I think it would not just be good for me to maybe just put my energy into just talking about it. That's what I'm doing. But um, and my fear is that if I give you guys video, you people will not watch it. That's my fear. If I give you videos, I know you will not watch it. So this is 30 minutes. If you speed it up by times two, that's 15 minutes, and you are done. So are we promising to watch this? Right? Are we promising to watch this? So again, the core concept of custom hooks is that what you are creating your own custom hooks. So I don't know if you have worked in any code base before, but if you have not worked in any code base before that has hooks, some code base would have a hooks folder. How many of you have noticed or observed that some code bases will have a hooks folder and then you see thousands of hooks in that folder? And sometimes they look scary, right? But nothing to intimidate you. There are things like look at this now. There is React documentation blog post on custom hooks itself. There is usehooks.com. There is usehook.ts, and there is I think there is beautiful React hook as well, and there are a lot of them. I think there is one too. There is Rook. I think it's called Rooks now. Rooks, Rooks, npm. I think so. There's a particular npm package called Rooks, right? npm as well. So what they do is they allow us to use different kind of custom hooks, different ones. So again, I don't want to spend too much time on it. So I just want you to see if you can get your hands on this. So just watch the video. That would guide you first, and then I will think about it later on. If you guys have questions, maybe I will think about it later on and see if we can. So what this does is like it has a lot of custom hooks. So look at this one now. This one is called use array state. So instead of you using a state and it's an array by default, then this will just be like something that you install as an npm install, and then you just use it directly in your project. So again, I don't want to bother you too much, but this is always helpful. There is use fetch. They should have their own use fetch as well. They don't have a use fetch. Are you are you are you are you kidding me? Yeah, they have lots of things, so I don't want to go too much into them too much. But let's try the video if it works, and then but this guy has this is one of the best teacher on the internet. I don't know if anybody knows him. Yeah, I think he is one of the best guys that teach in a very nice way. So, but this particular one, and I think another amazing part of why I'm giving you that video is that um, the the video has tests. This particular video has tests inside. It has tests, so it will also teach you how to write what tests as well for what for your custom hooks as well. So that's why I don't want to bother to go into it at all for any reason. So please and please watch that video, and I'm going to find a way to see um, if I can if I can explain later on. So um, let's move on to what other thing? Routing. I think we talked a little bit about routing. I think routing. Yeah, we've talked about routing. Do you have questions with routing though? Do you have questions with routing? Do we have questions with routing? People will not talk now. That's the problem. But so if we go to routing again one more time, we started routing in the last class. Yeah, and then we did introduction to the concept of routing. Do we all remember the concept of routing? Right. And there was like some haha moments, right, for us about the concept of routing, right? And we also try to talk about how routing sort of works at, you know, whether it is a server side application. I mean, of us remember we talked about this, whether it's like a server side rendering, all these other stuffs. Yeah, we did talk extensively about all those interesting details, and I don't think we have too much noise there. And I think we then started talking about React Router. And how many of us have visited React Router since we started talking about React Router? This is how we know you. How many persons? Can you use the raise hand button now? No, not thumbs up now. Can you just use the raise hand buttons? Let's see. How many persons have what gone to React Router documentation? So I believe that if you have gone through the documentation, you should have questions. I believe so. Because when you go to React Router documentation, you will observe that their routing docs is now divided into three categories. You have the data layer, you have the normal, I think, declarative approach, and then you have the framework approach. Is that correct? So I think you should be asking me now that the one I taught you in class, under which category did that fall under? Is it the declarative? Is it the data? And I'm very sure it's not a framework. And this is why teaching is an existing conversation between the student and the teacher. So you need to come to class with conversations that can help us to understand better, that can bring light into how, so also help me to understand how you guys feel about what I teach. Don't just vibe, say awesome. Don't give me vibes of awesome, nice. Yes. But if it's awesome, nice, and you don't know anything, then all of us now, we are wasting our whole time, right? So I need it to be a conversation. I need you to just search for Rooks NPM. Just search for Rooks NPM, or somebody can help me search for Rooks NPM, or the documentation to Rooks, and search and paste it for Miriam to use. So it's a conversation. I'm trying to buttress the fact that teaching is a conversation, and you guys need to go back and also try to do something on your own and come back with questions. Come back with different kind of questions that can help us to explain things better, that can help us to make sense out of all that we are doing. So if I don't know whether I should go to React Router though. Should I go to React Router? React Router docs. React Router docs. So React Router has the declarative, the data, and the framework approach. The one I taught you was the declarative. The data is another way to implement routing, but brings some extra features. And some of the extra features that it brings in is that what? We have, yes, you can create the router, but the way we create the router now is different. We use objects to create the router in this approach. But the very beautiful part of this is what? Can somebody say what is the very beautiful part of this? Is that you can declare a particular function called loaders. How many of us have heard of loaders before? How many persons have heard of loaders before in this class? So it gives us the ability to declare a particular function called loaders. And what loaders mean is that a loader is a function that will run as that route is being rendered. What did I say? A loader is a function that will run, and most importantly, it's always like a server-side. Did I say server-side? It is always a kind of API call, such that you want the API call to run in parallel with the rendering of the routes. You know that I've always been like of the opinion that don't use use effect to make API calls. Why? Because it's until you get to that component before the use effect kicks in. The use effect cannot do something called prefetching. So what is the meaning of prefetching? Anybody? Can anybody unmute to tell me what they understand by the word prefetching? Anybody who has good internet and is able to speak. Who wants to help me to understand the meaning of prefetching?
I don't know. I
So
just want to try.
nobody. Okay, I'm going to help myself.
Can you hear me,
Or
sir?
Masala wants to help me.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are speaking, but I cannot get you.
Yeah.
That's the problem with different. Can you say something?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. I said I just want to try. I think there is something in um um Tansta's query that when you over on a element, it will fetch before you click. It will fetch if it's something that you have to fetch. It will fetch it without. I think that is called prefetching. That it will fetch before you perform a particular action.
Right. So that's a good user experience, right? We're bringing a good user experience into our project and saying that, okay, your user don't have to click that thing in particular before that thing comes and fetch. So most people or most engineers implement it on like a mouse down or a mouse up, or I think it's likely always a mouse down, most likely. So when people just click the mouse, before they release it, it will now make the API call. So that by the time you click, that data is available. Does that make sense? And it's a very intuitive way to make your website look fast. So with the loader approach in the data section of your React router, it means that you can include a loader. So as the route is rendered, it will also make the API call directly alongside. Does that make any sense to anybody? So again, as the route is rendered, it will make the API call. As the route is rendered, it will make, so they happen in parallel. So it is not like it will first render the route before you now make, because what most of you will be doing is like you will first go to the route, and then when you get inside the route, that's when you now make the API call with your use effect. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. Has anybody done something like that before? It's until you are on a particular page before you now make the API call. But we're not saying that with loaders, you can write your component routes now and make sure that as they click on the route, they navigate to the route, the loaders can all. Are you still hearing me? Yeah, something freezed earlier there. I don't know what happened. So as the route is still.
We can hear you, but you are not sharing anymore.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Something happened earlier and I don't know what happened. Chrome is not allowing me to share my screen still. I don't know who I've offended, but maybe some students are angry with me in this class. What have I done? What have I done to deserve this? I've always been kind.
You are promising a very hard examination.
Is it not good
Yeah.
to is it not good to be is it not good to be tested hard?
You're already threatening us. What do you expect us to do?
See, I have this opinion that if life has not hit you hard before you clock 30, if life starts hitting you hard in 30, you will not understand what it means for life to hit people hard. And many of you will not relate because you are all ajebotas. I know.
Old school is not life, I beg.
Okay, old school is not life. It's good. It's good. But honestly, I don't know. I don't want to say Christian now, but if people will say I've come again. But I think my religion kind of believes that it's better you start using your head to pack your problem at the young age, in the morning of your life, before it comes to the afternoon and the evening, when you will not be able to carry your problem alone on your own. So because again, when I say evening, maybe afternoon or night, it's like maybe you are 40, you're 50, 60, and that's when life is knocking you. It might be very hard for you to recover. But let's say you are 10 now or 15 and life eats you. and there are chances for you to recover. Yeah, I mean, not everybody recovers, but there's a high chance of you recovering. So, but I always pray like when you have your own chance to, you always find your feet to, because we need some of these challenges too. So just see art school as one kind of challenge that I'm telling you that you need, because I think you will still write interview, you will still try to build projects uh, for different kind of things, and you will see that there is a higher barrier to get a job when you finish. I was telling my past students that after art school, life is going to be hard. They were saying it's a lie. They were saying it's not possible. Okay, and me, I kept mute. Now somebody reached out to me on my Discord. Now it's like, you said it that life after art school is going to be hard. I said before, the reason why you're writing code is because I'm going to ask you for assignment. But this time around now, nobody's going to ask you for assignment. So it is left for you to have a bigger meaning and a bigger purpose to do these things, or else you will just want to sleep all day long. And will start knocking the door if you're not very careful too, because poverty is real. So you can pick and choose what you want, right? So back to React and pre data fetching and whatnot. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that with loaders, right, we can create a way to fetch data or fetch information from an API, and also you can see that I'm saying it now, and also you are making your experience of your application better by using loaders. So do you understand the difference between the declarative approach of React Router and the data approach? So declarative is the first one I taught you, which we didn't mention loaders at all. But the second one brings in loaders into the conversation. And then the third one is the frameworks. And I think when I get to the framework part of my teaching in today's class as well, you will understand what the framework part is doing. Or I think by now we should all have an idea of what the framework is doing. Do we have an idea of what the framework is doing? So the framework is like a much more better. It has what server-side experience. It has opinions behind the scene, and it has the big detail is that it has server-side experience. So you can make API call inside Node.js before coming to your browser. Does that make sense? How many of us remember that I talked about this in the last two classes? I've talked about this in the last two classes, right? That you can make API calls inside Node.js before coming into the browser, and the data is available, and then you can just use it within our application. Okay, so that's good there. And if we go down to go back to, so when you are going through the documentation of React docs now, you know what to do, you know how to get information. So if you see data, you know that what you're talking about, the data approach. And then if you see the declarative, you see that what, okay, this is the normal one that we both talked about. Yeah. So you can also see that in this in the declarative approach. Yeah. So this is the difference. Now you can see this difference. Yeah, declarative has link, it has meta, it has navigate and outlet, it has do you notice there is nothing like prefetching of page links, right? It has route with S, it has use prompt, it has use before load, it has use href, use in router, it has all these details. You can see that it does not have this loader data. You can see it doesn't have loader data, right? It has use location, it has use match, it has use navigate, it has use navigation type, it has use outlet context, use param, and then it has use real validator, and then it has use router loader data, it has use route as well, and it has create memory session storage, it has route stop, it has generate path, and it has all these other ones there. But you can see that it is not as complete as this data, and you can see that what the framework is the one that is more complete. It has more opinions. So that is that about that. Am I sharing my screen? Can you see my screen, please? Yeah, maybe you can reload your page, Deborah, right there, and you can see the React Router docs that I'm talking about. Can we see the React Router docs? Okay. So that is that with what React Router. Please don't forget that. So the next part is let's just close this out. And let's close this as well. So that is that with React Router again. There are different examples on this in the note to different examples in the note to help us. I think we talked about this first example, right? Basic routing between the home and the about. And then when you go to the next page as well, it talks more about what much more structure. This one has what proper file arrangement right there. And to navigate between pages, either you can use the nav link or link. I think those are the two ways to navigate. I only mentioned one. I mentioned link here, but we can also use nav link. Right, I mentioned link, but you can also use nav link. And then the other way to navigate is by using use navigate to programmatically navigate. And then dynamic routing and URL parameter. I've talked about this briefly as well. When do we use dynamic routing and URL params? When there is a parent what? If you have a parent route. So a parent route might be a profile route that is listing all the profiles. And then you want to click on a single what? A single profile and see that particular profile now. Or for example, you have a page for your to-dos, but you need a single page for each of the to-do. I think I have an application like that has something similar to that. I don't know if I can locate it now. I don't know, it's not here, right? That uses it uses some form of what's it called now? Some form of routing behind the scene. God, I have too many repos, and I'm trying to catch every one of them. So if I get to let's say to do's, let's say to do. Yeah. React, turn stack. Right. So that kind of route is a dynamic route, right? It's a dynamic route. I can quickly get this. And I think for your exam, we're going to be using PyPops for hosting for the exams. How many of us are excited that we're using PyPops? Yeah, using PyPops. We have workers now. PG. There's a particular PyPops. What's it called now? How do I call it now? There's a particular PyPops. Is it Bonanza? How do we explain this one now? What is the word for it? What Hotcore and PyPops is? What Hotcore and PyPops is doing? What is the right English word for it? They are doing like a collaboration, and then there's like, how many of you have seen the Twitter challenge? Yeah, the Twitter challenge and the giveaway stuff. So I think the idea is that it's good to support like homegrown companies. So just see it as an opportunity to support like made in Nigeria, right? So I don't want you to take it personal too much. Do I use PyPops for everything I'm doing? No, absolutely no. Do I want to use them for everything? Yeah, if they can make me change from the ones I'm using, why not? If their service is good enough. It's asking me to move to the paid version before I can use it. Now, because you're not using your old school email, just make sure you're using the old school registered email. You shouldn't ask for payment whatsoever if it's the direct. I probably will go into a video to show you how to host as well with PyPops so that you get the gist. I don't like looking for things, because when you're looking for things, you don't know the right place to look. There's compute workers. Okay, I think I've seen this now. And then we have this. No. Where's the deployment URL? So if how do I view the deployment URL? So I think this is supposed to be it here, and yeah. So this is a very simple example, very very simple, nothing special, right? So what you have here is when this page loads, right? I think when the page loads, it's fetching it's fetching I think it's fetching all what? It's fetching all the what? All the to-dos that we have on the database, right there. And we have 3 stores in the database, and I can create more now, teaching, and then I can create. And so the creating also talks to the API as well. So you can see that what this talks to the API, right? And after talking to the API, it refers to the list of everything, and then we have what 5 things there or 4 things whatsoever. And then if I click on this now, do you notice what happened? So if I click on view, the route changed from where? Task to what? / what? The ID of the task. Does that make sense? So that is the exact thing I'm trying to explain. That if we have a singular page like this, a dynamic route for all our what? So here, if I go to a task that does not exist, I should get what? An information that what? Something went wrong, right? Because what? That route does not exist. So it tries to hit the database, and it saw that there was no what? It saw that there was no what? There was no data from the API, right? For that particular what? For that particular task there. So again, that is a dynamic route in the basic version that I can explain. That is a dynamic route. Where's my React Node? So for dynamic routes for profile, so how do you do dynamic routing here? In this case now, our dynamic route here is done with what? Colon a particular variable. Colon a particular variable. So in this case now, the variable I'm using is what? Username. So it means that I can then what? I can then accept this username as a variable, right? This username will become a variable that I can use. So how do you handle it now? When the app loads, it will display a particular component and it will ask us to enter a username. You can click on go to profile, and then you have the undo submit function that helps us to undo the redirect and goes to profile colon what? The username. The profile component extract the username from the URL using what now? How do you extract this out from the URL? You use what? This hooks called use param. And then once you use that to what? To extract out what? And then if I type a username here, it will go ahead and create the username for me, and I can visit that thing here. So this becomes a username that we are visiting. And so it means that I can say what? Ade here, and Ade becomes what? Ade becomes what? A what? A profile, right? Ade becomes a profile right there. And you can see that it takes a while before that thing happens. I mean, if you see it takes a while. So why it takes a while is because it will first render the parent, right? And it will see that, okay, I'm not the parent. They're not asking for the parent. They're asking for a child route inside of the parent. And then it will look for what? Something inside of the parent. It is looking for something called outlet. What did I call it now? It's looking for what? An outlet inside of what? The parent. So what I'm talking about is if you go to profile here, profile, you would see that what? Inside of this profile here, there is what? There's not even the outlet in this one. But I will show you another example that has the outlet right there. So this is just extracting out. This is extracting out the username and using it directly. But there is something called an outlet that we can use to. There's something called an outlet that we can use to mimic the exact thing that we're trying to what? The exact thing that we're trying to do. Yeah, I think I talked about it in the next slide. I think so. So I didn't talk about it in the next slide. That's interesting. So maybe I will show you an example of an outlet, and then you will understand how to use an outlet to create a parent-child route. So inside of the parent, you put your outlet, and the outlet will be replaced out with the child. It will just swap out the outlet and replace it with the child. So I'll show you in the code what that means. Another very important aspect of routing is redirects and protected routes. So redirect is like when somebody submits a form, you want to redirect them to somewhere, or when somebody clicks on the logout button, you want to redirect them to the home page, right? There are different versions of how to do logout, right? Some persons can use redirect for their logout, and some persons can handle it in whatever way you want to handle. And there's protected route. Protected route means that a user that is logged in will only have access to a particular route, right? There. So we can also do that with your React router, and this talks about it as well. So if you check the code for this as well, I can't go to the dashboard because, right, there is a protected route wrapping the dashboard. If you check here, we are wrapping the route of the dashboard with a protected route. So when it hits this route dashboard, it will check this component called protected route, and it will see that we don't have the criteria to view this particular dashboard, and then it will redirect us back to the home page. And that is what a protected route is. And this protected route is what most of you probably would start using when you get your first job, because most persons don't really know how to implement protected route whatsoever. So, and then I also talked about TanStack stat. So this particular example here, how many of you can notice now that this one uses TanStack stat? This uses TanStack stat. How many persons can notice that? Is there any indication that says it is using TanStack stat? Is there any indication? Anything TanStack has like a dev tool, you can see that they always have like a dev tool, right? And then behind everything that they are doing. So this is using TanStack stat. I don't even know where the code base to this project is. That's how funny my life is now. Everything is just scattered. As a developer, I don't know where the code base is. And I wanted to show you the code base. That's what I wanted to show you initially before, but I can't find the code base anymore on my computer. I don't know where I kept it. But again, we can always implement all of this afresh, right? There's nothing special too much about them as well. Then I'm also going to show you another code base. I deliberately made the code base TypeScript so that you'll not be able to copy the code base. So, and I know some of you are still going to copy it, and I will see it in the exam. But because I don't want you to use that code base, that's why I made the TypeScript. So the code base has it has a particular very simple application here that if you can see it now, it has maybe I need to run it first before we can just see an example of it. I will also not npm install it as well. So I'm going to go and run it somewhere else where you will not be able to steal that one, because I'm afraid of you people. I'm afraid of you all. Things, so I don't want you to. There are a lot of things I have open that I don't want you to see. There's a lot of things I have open that I don't want you to see. So so that you don't copy. It's not good to copy. Is it good to copy? It's not good. I want to show you a very, very, very short example of I think it's supposed to be it should be one of these one now. Yeah, this is the TypeScript version as well. I think it's a TypeScript version of this as well. And what it has here is it has when you go to the first page, how do we know the route that is going to render? Then we go to our index.tsx. So our index.tsx, right, shows us that we have line 29 to to 72. Now with this example here, which approach is this project using? Which approach of routing is this using? With this example here, which approach to React router is this using? Which approach is that using from the example? Data, right? Data. Okay, so data is using the data because you can see that it is using the create browser, and it is passing the route in form of what? In form of what? In form of objects. Objects. So here you can see the loader. Again, loader is another very nice way to understand, right? So the loader works in sync with what? What is this one here? How many of us have seen this before? Query client. Query client. Query client is coming from where? Your TanStack what? TanStack React query. This is the only way I know to fetch data. This is the only way I know to fetch data. This is the only way. Again, I'm repeating. This is the only way I know to fetch data. Any other way? Maybe this is not the only way. Maybe you can use SWR, but this is the only very, if you want your project to scale very well and very nicely, this is the only genuine way to make API calls using your TanStack React query. It will save you a lot of stress. A lot of stress. So yeah, this example here comes in by default with this blank. You can see that this side is blank. Why is this side blank? So when you go to the application, you can see that it loads the root place, right? The root project, which is this index. And where is index coming from? Index is coming from where? This route index here. And if you go to this place here, you would see that this index here is just loading this page. You can see that it's loading this content. This is what you're seeing here. Right. Loading this page here. So where is this one? This sidebar. Where is the sidebar coming from? Where is the sidebar coming from? Okay. So you would need to understand that when you're building a full scale application, right, there will be need to have a layout. So this root here is a layout element. The root here is a layout element. And then if you go to the root component here, you would observe, if you look at our what, you would observe that this is the form, this is the input, this is this input at the top, and then this is the new button, and this is the star button there, and this is what, the list of information that is being displayed right here. Right. So again and again, this here is just this sidebar here, and this here is what. So it means that this one here has something called an outlet inside of it. It has something called an outlet inside of it. So if you look at it carefully, you can see this outlet on line 124. So anytime I click on Dominic, what happens is that what, this outlet is removed and this detail is replaced with it here. So if I click on Tainer Linsley, right, it will remove the outlet and what, put this detail inside. So what is outlet doing? Anytime you see outlet in any React Router project, can anybody tell me what an outlet is doing? Anytime you see a React Router project now, what is an outlet doing? An outlet is what? It's just a placeholder for some set of information. Most importantly, when you have a parent-child route. Am I communicating? So the outlet just renders the child. The outlet just renders the child. So when we have a parent-child relationship in form of route, right, the outlet will be in the parent, but the goal of the outlet is to swap out for the child. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? So it is good. Outlet is always useful when you have nested routings. That's when your outlet comes into play. But it's a common concept in every of the router that we use in React. Outlet. I think we also use it in Vue router as well. Vue router also has something called outlet as well. Yes, I think so. Because I'm going to be teaching you Vue very soon as well. Right. So an outlet is just the placeholder for certain set of information. An outlet is a placeholder for certain set of information right there. So another thing that you want to maybe look at in this example is that if I click on this new button, it goes to a place where there is some information. I can fill this information and I can say what, this is my avatar, and this is I am a teacher, and then I can save this now. Now you can see that there's a bug here. There's a bug on this side, right? That this side is not showing the latest what, this particular user until I refresh this here. There's a bug there. Again, I deliberately left all this there because many of you will do copy and paste. I know you will do copy and paste for me, and that's why I'm leaving this code base just the way it is, buggy, error, like that. Okay, but it captures everything you need. In the other code base on my computer, the bug has been resolved, but I need to drop the bug for you in the main one that you would have access to, right? Because many of you already have access to it already. It's on the internet. If you go to Stagability, you will see that link there. Good. But I know in the exam you will write the bug back for me because it is my code and I will know. So, but in a way to help you not to just copy and don't just rely on this code base alone. Try to understand what we are trying to do. If I give you a particular thing to do, right, you don't need to copy off maybe what we have done before. Use your senses, use like your creativity to understand, so that when you are in another situation, you can solve the same problem without looking at my own approach or without looking at my own solution thereabout. So again, we have a service called contact, and I have all the default contacts inside of this place, right? And I am saving the contact into local storage using this particular npm package called local forage. Right, using this, so this local forage is the service. So in this service, we have a way to get contacts, right? Using what? So this is mimicking network requests here, right? And then we are getting our data from local storage, and then we are creating contact on local storage, and then we are updating contact on local storage, and we are deleting contact on local storage as well. So this is just an example of local storage, but this contact.ts is a service that what we are using, right, for our application. So if you go to your contact now, this contact page fetches what, our contact, right? The contact detail of a particular person. And because we are using the loader approach, right, I can then use something like this use loader right there. Because again, the way we set up our route is what, there is loaders there. There's loaders. You can see that there's loader. So it means that if there are loaders, then we can use a hook called what, use what, loader, to extract out that data, right? I'm going to show you a simple example of how this works as well, but I'm just trying to show you this one for like this one that is fully built, right? I will show you another walkthrough simple example that we are going to build right, together. But this is a very simple example here. So it has, this is the delete one to delete, right? And this is to update if you want to update, right? But you will notice as well again, there is actions, right? There is actions here. Action is what? This one is to what? To mutate or to create a new contact. This is to create a new contact, right? And your action is also part of your loaders. So there are loaders and there are action. And action is an example of when you want to create something or update something. While a loader is an example of when you want to fetch a data, right? And it is only applicable within your data, what? Data React router. If we go to TanStack router, I will show you as well their own implementation of the loaders and actions as well inside TanStack router. So this is just an example, right? Real quick, right? I think what this button here is doing, is this button here is to filter. I think the button here is to filter favorite. I think you can make somebody favorite, and then you should be able to filter by favorite or something. You can filter by favorite. So all this is done with it uses React router behind the scene, and it uses TanStack query, right, to fetch the data from local storage using local forage. The npm package I'm using again is called what? Local forage, right? So I didn't have to talk to local storage directly, right? Because there's a particular npm package that is available for us to do that right there. So that is one thing that I think is important I show you. Now, I want to talk about TanStack stat for some moment as well. So I think the thing with TanStack stat is, or TanStack router, sorry, not stat now. TanStack stat router is almost the same thing as React router. But TanStack router has actions and loaders built in by default. Am I communicating? So they are literally the same thing. But instead of grouping things into the declarative, the data, and the other approach, TanStack router has everything built in by default, and everything uses the loaders directly. Everything uses the loader directly. Everything uses the loaders directly. So if we go to TanStack, if you go to the TanStack, I think documentation, tanstack.com / I think it should be tanstack.com, and then we can go to TanStack router, for example, now. So the TanStack router has a very simple example that we can just look like, a very simple example that we can look. So if I go to get started here, a simple example will just be to where's the installation quick start, sorry. So a simple example is just to copy this particular word. Just copy this, boom, and put it inside of your what? Inside of your terminal. So this is my terminal. Where's my terminal here? And we can see the house of this place, and then we can paste this here, and I can change this to pnpm, create this pnpm. I think pnpm dlx. I think, is it dlx now? dlx. And this will create a full application for me with routing by default. It will create a full application for me with routing by default. It will create a full application with routing by default. It will create a full application with routing by default with TanStack. There's an explanation on how to do manual setup, right? If you want to, okay, but again, just to save you too much of the information so that we can focus on the functionality rather than the implementation. So this will create something by default, and it is using something called file router. And what is a file router? If I cd into my hub now, cd into my hub, and then we can do Z, and then we can do D to run dev. So it will open in my editor, and then you will see what the basic setup looks like. So the basic setup has a normal basic React setup, right? And all that. Your vit config is there. Then we have routes. So again, you can see that all our routes is inside of this. All my routes, they are inside of this routes folder. And this __ root now, what do you think this __ root is doing? Can anybody guess now? Based on the explanation that I have done with outlets, can anybody guess what __ root is doing? Who wants to take a guess what __ root is doing? So the reason why I added DLX is that I want to run I want to run npm, but I want to run the version of npm that is npx. You know that npx is different from npm. I thought I've explained this before. That npx is just a version of npm that we can use to run something instantly. Did I say that when I was introducing npm to us? I think I did say that. Right, that npx is an instant version to run something of npm. So the version of pnpm is called pnpm space dlx to execute something instantly. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay. So that is why I added the DLX there. So, but you can just use pnpm, whatever pnpm thing you want to, whatever you want to use, right? So, who can tell me what this underscore root means by looking at what this code looks like now? By seeing what this code looks like, what do you think that is doing? It's like the layout based on that contact tab that I showed us earlier. Underscore root.tsx is our what? Root layout, the parent route that is rendered. So that is, and what is the key thing inside that parent thing that is happening? Outlet. What did we say happened to outlet? What did we say happens to outlet? We said outlet will be removed. If you now render a particular route, outlet will be removed and it will replace it with the what? The parent what? The parent route, right? So if I go to my first route here now, if I go to our first route, index.tsx, so I'm going to see all of these jargons here now. So let's just remove the jargons and make it simple. Make it simple. And then we can just say what? Hello. Let's just do h1. And then we can do hello stack router. So this is our first route. However, this is our parent. This is the parent route. This here, this route here is the parent route here. And you will know if I put any HTML here, this is going to signify what? This is going to say that what? I am the layout. This is what? Let's not call it H2. Let's just say nav, and call it, let's just say I am the nav bar, if there's anything like that. So if we then go to our browser to run this application, let's go to Firefox to run this application now. If we go to localhost, I think 51, is it 5173 now? I'm not sure. 5173 or 74, 73. Is it this one? Which port is it running on? 3000. When it's not Create React App. It's Create React App that usually runs on port 3000. Right. So here you would see that what this appears at the top, and then we have our hello stack router, and it's very clean, very clean. No. So again, if you want to know how all those things happen, you want to go and look at the main.tsx here, right? You can see that I don't need you to bother too much about this for now. Just use the command to create something that will create something for you and just start. Now, if I want to create another route now, just like our about, we can right click here and create what? About.tsx. Just ignore the tsx for now. So if you create the about now, you will see that what? They automatically prefill us with some information for us. They automatically prefill us here with some information. And then if I go into my root here, we can then create something inside of this place and say to go to okay, it's smart enough. Now instead of using hey now, what are we going to use? Instead of using hey, we are going to use what? Link, because link is what we use now. Link is what we use. So link, and then you replace all the hey with what? All the hays with what have I done? Let's just change this one first to link. And I think it should be link 2. I think so. It should be link 2, but let me just use this. Yeah, it should be link 2, not href. Link to home, and then link to about, and then link to what? To contact. And then we can change this href later on to 2. So here we have a navigation here with our UL here. And here. Now, look at this now. What do you think is happening here? This is what I'm going to be teaching you in the third semester, TypeScript, right? So this is one advantage of your TanStack router by default. TanStack router has types built in. Because I've not created a route for this contact, then it is flagging this. So, and that is one advantage of TypeScript. But when we get into third semester, you would see what the advantage of that looks like. So here now, I think we should have a navigation off the top, and I can go to my about here. And then my about is as ugly as it can be. And I can go back to the home and it goes to the home. I can go back to the about and can go back to, now, which one is much more easier based on what we have been doing so far? Which one is much more easier in terms of what we have been doing so far? Which one is much more easier based on what we have been doing so far? So again, this sets everything up for us. You just go ahead and start building, right? You just go ahead and start building, and then you just go ahead and create the folder as well. But if you said you are a stubborn engineer, you want to create everything yourself, right? You want to implement the folders yourself, and you want to create everything. I mean, there is room for you as well. There is space to go ahead and and do all the things you want to do. So if we want to go ahead and create everything ourselves, right? Yeah, I like to, obviously me, I like to teach everything to detail, right? All you just need to do is npm install Tanstack router, and then install the dev tool if you want to use the dev tool, and then you want to install a dev dependency of Tanstack router plugin, and then in your vit config right now you bring in your Tanstack at the top of your React. So if you're using Tailwind, right, your Tailwind should also be somewhere here as well, right? And then you go ahead to create you create your __ root, which becomes your layout folder, and then you create your first route, and then you can create your second route. And then inside your main.tsx, that's where you set up the route information. So this is our layout, right? You use create route because that is the root, right? But if you're using ordinary route here, this is creating a lazy file route. This is creating a lazy file route, and this is also creating a lazy file route here, right? And inside of this place, the main.tsx or JSX is where you set up the main routing thing here. So when you set it up yourself here, so this one here is set up, and you are routing with our you can see this is the router provider, and you are passing the object of your route. The object of your route is being generated by Tanstack by themselves. All they just need to do is they need you to import this, and this will scan your project to get all the routes that you have, right? And then it will create them for you, and then they know what the routes are, right? So this is a simple example if you want to do everything yourself and do everything and follow through. And this is one simple code base that does everything. If you don't want to be importing or whatnot, this is just one code base that does everything. You can just copy this from the beginning to scratch and put in your project right there. So that is that with that. They ignore the TSX. The TSX you're saying doesn't make any sense. It's just because by default, to get a job in this field, we need TypeScript. That's why there's TSX everywhere. TSX is the TSX. It works with JS, right? I think it works with JSX. The JS even also has the types advantage as well, built in as well. I think when I ran the command, I didn't specify that I should use JS. I think so. Because if I go to my terminal here, I could just specify a template here. So I could specify this template to use no. I could specify that I should be I think so. Let me confirm that I can say help now. Look at the way I'm writing help, for goodness sake. I know it's no one to agree, but it should agree. There should be help. Right. So here you have like the template, you have the framework, right? Yeah, you have the framework. So if I want my JavaScript version, I probably will just pass JS implementation to it. So let's do that as well. Let's see the outside of this place, and then we do pm dlx, right? And then we call it Tanstack JS router, and then we can say the template is what now? What's the template here? JavaScript, and then that does the magic. Again, can you see AI is everywhere? How many of you can see that AI is everywhere? MCP. How many of you have been hearing MCP for quite a while now, and you don't know what MCP means? Has anybody been hearing MCP, agent, what other words now? They're just everywhere. Yes. Maybe I would have a workshop soon about AI too. Let's see. I could have me show you what some of these things mean behind the scenes. So this is this one here, right there. Again, the only way forward is like you're just right clicking and creating your route. So if I want to create another route, I can just say contact.what.tsx. Boom, that's all. It will not auto generate now because the server is not running. But if my server is running and I create a new route, it will auto generate the starter file. So you don't have to bother too much. So let's just cd into the JS one, and we can do Z and then start our dev at I think it should be port 3001. So we have everything here, right? You have we have our main.gsx here. We have, where's my main.gsx here? So you can see here again, right? This is my my route here, and it is looking at my application, and our first route is what? This is the path to the first route, and this is my index route. You can see that this is what, and when this route is reached, it will render which component? It will render what this app component. That is whatever we have. So I can call this. Let's just call this again. Let's just call this. H1 hello Tanstack JS. Now you will notice that something is different here. I don't know if anybody can notice something is different. Who can observe that something is different? There's no folder, right? We don't have folder organization like before, and then you also don't have like the auto generation thing, right? Like you usually have it, especially because we are not doing things. But I think there's a particular package.json command that you can run that can auto generate something for you. I think so. Yeah, I will find the detail of the command that you can run that it will generate, or it will auto generate some information for you. So if I want to set up a route for my about.gsx now, I need to go into this place and the main.gsx to configure that. So here, I'm passing the index route to this place because this is the list of my routes here. So if I want to have another route, I could have about route here. And again, I can duplicate this, and then you have your about route. About route. And then this is going to go to / about, and then the component that this is going to be dealing with is what? We can import this as well, right? Duplicate this, and this is going to be about .gsx, and then this is going to be about, and then if we go down to here, we have about, and then because we want to also create navigation at the top. So if you want to create navigation for our application, to create navigation at the top of our application, right, you can create your nav bar here, right? Our nav bar here, and then you can see that this is going to be a nav, and inside of the nav, maybe you have your logo. Your logo can be a div, or let's call it an aside, and this can be logo, and then below we can have like your UL multiplied by multiplied by li, that has a child of a multiplied by the UL has a child of li has a child of a multiplied by 3. UL has a child of li times 3, I think so. Emacs is not working. I don't know why it's not working. Li multiplied by 3. Li multiplied by 3. Li multiplied by 3. Okay. Are you kidding me? Li is not also working. Li multiplied by 3 is not working. And I think I can duplicate this and say li link, and then we can say link to the first page. This, and we can call this home, and then we can duplicate this for every other route that we want to work with, and then this can contact. So, and then we have, I think about application now. I think it should be port 301, if I'm correct now. Okay, it's still port 3000, so we can go to port 3000, and then we should have something poor working. I've not configured everything completely, so let's see what our route looks like. I think there's an error somewhere. Console syntax error.
I think about.
Yeah, because we've not put anything about the issue. Yeah, let's just copy this and then put inside about and paste it here, and then we can just call it about. Quick, nothing special. Hello about. And yeah, that should bug. Override right? And then we should have ah VS Code. Where are you? Let me look at it carefully before jumping around. Right. Has it saved? Why are you not reloading everything?
There's there's an error. I think when you were trying to import it and route
Ah,
it, it works.
I didn't import link. I think that's the problem here. Link, link, semicolon. What other error? Let's go. Well, this is testing on the fly. So this is testing on the fly. Did I put contact under about? Okay. Yeah, they look very ugly, but it does the work of the routing. So this is the JS approach, right? Very, very minimal, and um, and I don't want to shock you guys, but I don't write JS outside of teaching. Obviously, I don't write JS outside of teaching. So it is what it is. Like in our field, TypeScript is the thing. So maybe when you get to like the third semester, yeah, I'll catch you up on TypeScript, and then you'll be able to understand all the TypeScript jargons that is going on behind the scene. But TypeScript is not hard. I usually tell people honestly. People just usually think TypeScript is hard, but TypeScript to me is even the simplest thing, right? Yeah. So if we want to then use the route folder, because I asked this question, if we want to use the route folder as the folder for our application, then we need to set up something called a file-based routing. So that when you set up a file-based routing, you configure a folder, right? You configure a folder on your application to use the route. So the same, when I use the first approach that I created, you can see that what anything created inside routes folder becomes automatically a route that it could work with, and it was automatically generating stuff for us, right? Because that uses a file-based router. So TanStack has either as a feature to create a file-based. There's a particular function called create file router. So if I want to set that up here, I think I have to do create file router. Right, this will now, I can now map a folder on my computer and say anything that goes into this folder becomes a route, right? Because I am going to be creating a file-based router for it there, and then we can configure it just like we just need to configure it the path and tell it that anything that is created inside this folder is going to be a particular route. Now, I see another question. Somebody's asking me that which router do I prefer as best practice? Honestly, I'm opinionated because maybe you can smell it that I like anything TanStack, but the truth about it is like anything TanStack works better than anything we have existing, based on how far I've been teaching people, right? But I like React Router Framework more than TanStack Start. So again, there are reasons, and I think I'm going to be blogging about some of these reasons later on very soon. So you don't need to fight too much about it. You are still very young in your career. You don't need to be fighting about which one to use. Know how to use the both, and I would advise you to get convenient with one. Right? Play with one so much more that when exam comes, that is the one you can quickly use in your exam. Right? And I will advise that use XY and XY. So whatever XY and XY means, that's what you should use. I could mention this one and I could mention that one, but just use X, Y, and which one that works with you. I have taken time to walk you through React Router to create the same thing in React Router, and I have taken time as well to show you exact same thing in TanStack Router as well, right? There's one other router called React Location. How many persons have heard of React Location before? Right? How many persons have heard of React Location before? Yeah, they don't have too much vibes, right? They don't have so much vibes around them and all that. So that's why we don't. Yes, XY is something. If you can decode the meaning, there is something behind the XY. Trust me. Think about it very well, and you will decode the XY there. So again, with your TanStack router comes in with TanStack query baked in as well. So there are advantages off the top of my head. I think honestly, I like the concept of loaders default, because many React applications you will ever touch in your life, the first thing you will hate about every project you ever see in your life is the way they are fetching data from API. Say I did not say it. Go and ask senior colleagues. Go and ask anybody that you know that is a developer and ask them that what is that first part of a React project that you first did. They will tell you it's the way the data is being loaded, because it is just shitty and it is spinners everywhere. And there is one loading through and there is one loading error everywhere scattered, right? Because most React engineers do not want to just, they do not want to pay attention to how to build projects that are solid from the beginning. Yes, I am also guilty of it too, because I've left something like that for junior engineers as well. you will create a use fetch from your custom hook. You will create a state variable to get data. You will create a state variable to get error, and then you will think you are smart, and you're using that to fetch data, right? So, but it's not sustainable. We can't build a 600-page application on that kind of concept and you expect it to scale, right? So again, small things will work for you right now, but I want you to think about it. When you get to a company, how can I make impact when I join a new company? What can I quickly do to that company for me to make impact, for them to even employ me? And I want you to be thinking in that manner. So you can't be thinking about the low grade, low level stuff, right? But you have to think, what can I have on my resume or my CV that would make me hireable, right? And all of that. So that's why I think I'm opinionated to some certain extent. However, behind the opinion, the application must work. Whether I have opinion or I don't have opinion, your app must work. You are going to have routing and all of that baked into your application. So, any question before I forge ahead? Any question? So, what people will be expecting me to do is, I think in the last class, it should be more of several projects or just doing several things off the top, right? That's what the last class kind of like look at. I'm just going to maybe build something that has pagination very real quick, and then we'll just, I mean, again, the styles will be ugly because I don't have time to style most of those things as much as I would have loved to, but the idea is just implementing it out so that you can see what it looks like. So for example, with this distance stack now, right, can we implement that contact tab that we saw earlier? Can we implement it with a TAN stack router, right? And it will do the same thing like that, right there. And it's going to use what, because the contact one that I showed you is using React router, right? So how can I move that to React? So just, just thinking of different projects. Can we add pagination to the contact? If we have, 1,000 contacts, what does it look like, right? So you're just thinking of different scenarios where we can use to learn and, get our hands dirty and whatnot. But do we have any questions first before I cause more problems? Honestly, the more you come to class, the more you don't like me. It's going to happen, and it's happening. The more you come to class, the more you just hate me, because I am teaching you very complex things. It is normal. Don't worry. I know you don't hate me, but
I feel like it's not about, maybe it's not like we are hating you, but the more we come to class, the more you realize that you have a lot of things to learn, like a lot of things to learn. So maybe that's the problem.
yeah, I think, and I think I already like said it in the beginning of the semester that people did not really get the picture. People thought, like, when I was talking about the semester in terms of this is going to be heavy, it's going to be cumbersome, it's going to be, you felt it was just all the assignments and all that. But in terms of consuming information, all the things I'm throwing at you, you're probably hearing it for the very first time. How many persons are like that? Everything I'm saying is like you're just hearing it for the very first time. And I think I am believing and expecting you to run with that information as I'm telling you. Right? Is it my fault? Yeah, it's partly my fault, and but the idea again is like you signed up to be a front-end engineer, right? There is a lot of information in this space. There are lots of ways to do the same thing. But can we get as basic as possible? Right? And you cannot be coasting on my knowledge and come and write exam. What did I just say? You cannot be coasting on my knowledge. You see, my knowledge is that I'm speaking now. As I'm speaking now, things is even complicated. Just imagine in the exam, I'm not there. Like, just imagine how the thing will be. It will be peppery and much more theory and scattered. Because when somebody is speaking and teaching, everybody will be nodding. Okay, yes, this one. But when it's only you have to list out the steps to do certain things. It becomes challenging, right? And that means, like, if you don't understand all that we have been talking about so far, and you see those people that are coming 2 o'clock after the class, those people that they will come and say, I'm not in a circle. How will you add me to a circle after we have slept and we have woken up? I don't know how you want to survive, honestly. Some of you are senior developers, I know. That's why I know they bother too much. I know you will survive. But when you come, because now you heard one person say they are saying something and you want to come and say, I've not entered one circle. Can I enter one circle? This is not about entering circle. We've done a lot of things. A lot of problems that have been causing since, how many months now? 4 months down the line. And you cannot just come one day and expect me to sit you down and pour the whole thing back into your head. So as much as the information is overwhelming, find the one you know and find the one you don't know. And the ones you don't know, how can I know them? Is there a friend that knows this in the class? Can I use ChatGPT to understand what is going on? Can I use DeepSeek? Can I use Cloud? All these AIs are there for you free of charge to at least do something. So don't just sit down and be dejected and feel like what React has won, right? React has not won anything. You still have a chance to like figure all of these jargons out. Okay, so again, for this routing, The information is so sweet, and headline is conflict LMS. Does it conflict LMS? That one I can disagree. Does it conflict LMS? Who wants to answer that? Who wants to talk about that? Does it conflict?
LMS doesn't come with stack or come with all this thing that we are hearing. So I feel like it's a bit conflicting.
Nah. So I probably would not call that conflict. I probably would just tell you that LMS is old school. And if you like LMS, do LMS. Let's keep it simple. If you like LMS, do LMS. No offense, honestly. But if you want to have this, I don't know. I like to talk too much. But if you want to have lots of confidence to be able to know different things, right? I believe that I think I did I did do some extra I did do some extra work so that I can't believe that if you are just graduating from a boot camp now, the only thing you know now is like a React router. When the idea of React router in itself is becoming vague, right? It's becoming a shadow of its true self. There is not so much development and engineering going into React router anymore as it's supposed to be, right? So there are new additions into how things behave that are making life easy. So you can't sit down on just what was information that was recorded 6 years ago, or it's not up to 6, but I think it should be close to 5, right? And right. So and then I don't know, but I don't want to say it conflicts too much. It's just a little bit above, a little bit extra. So for everything I talk about, there's always extra. For anything I say, there will be extra somewhere. There will be one thing that somebody has not heard that I'm trying to pick into what's going on. So I probably would not use conflicting, right? So yeah, it's just kind of Jara. And I think the thing with the Jara thing is like, you can go to market and say they should not put Jara for you. How many of you agree? If your father is Jaja for Pobo, you can always go to the market and say, well, I don't want Jara. We are rich enough in my house. But if you're the kind of person that every ounce of Jara matters, right? So if every ounce of Jara matters, you want to gather as many information as possible, because there will be days when the Jara will be very necessary. So I feel the pain, but I also try my best to I don't know. How many of you went to tell Amara that you have slides though? On your town hall, how many of you went to tell Amara that you have slides? So this is I don't know how the information got to them. I know they should know that we had slides, but they can also compare with backend and other people to have slides. I don't know if you understand. How many of you know how difficult it is to have the slide that we have? Can anybody kind of guess how difficult it is to have the slide that we have? Like, just kind of be thinking and be picturing it. How difficult it is to come to that slide, and how honestly it is very difficult. So we can't put that pressure on other backend and cloud to also do. It is difficult. It is difficult, trust me. And thanks to you guys who are my collaborators, and to your past seniors who are constantly contributing. So the seniors constantly contributing and improving it, because I have taught them and they understand the gap between the teaching. So they will always come back and say, when we taught this, we didn't teach it this way, right? Can we teach it this way? So that is the whole cleanup. And I wish that when I finish teaching you guys to now, you can also see and adjust the slides again, and we can revamp it to make it a very simple educational material in whatnot. And then the goal is to make the curriculum better, easy, right? I feel like if we started with React way more earlier, we might be in a better position. How many persons agree? If we started with React way more earlier, we would have been in a better place. But you know what the problem would have been is that many of you will not be able to write array.map. Many of you will not be able to do array.filter. Many of you will not be able to do click event listener. Because if they don't stress you with assignments, you will not go and learn those things. It's just so funny. Nobody is going to go and learn those things. So at the end of the day, I found out that there's a gap in your normal JS knowledge. Right? There's a gap in the normal JS knowledge, and that's why we ended up like spending like 1 or 2 months on on JavaScript before we then forged into React. And Innocent said we are too fast. If I go by what Innocent is saying, is it normal that after all tutorials and reading, you still have to Google even the simplest syntax and code? It's normal now, still. That's the lifestyle. Don't you see me that I still try to, you know that I use ChatGPT in the class with you? Do I know anything? I probably take it as I don't know anything. I don't know shit. That's the way I take it. It's just like I don't know anything. That's it. Sometimes I think I'm asking you to confirm something for me as I'm teaching because I'm not sure I'm saying the correct thing. So it's no matter, and I've been teaching. See how many times I've been teaching, and still ordinary small thing I can't write. So just to always use Google, use ChatGPT, it's not a problem at all. It's a sign that you're even in the right place and you're making the right progress. That's what I believe. So that's the way I kind of like see it. So don't get discouraged. He said I know too much. You just assume for me. I don't think my employer thinks I know too much. Don't be assuming for me like that too. Okay. So again, don't be overwhelmed. Don't push yourself too much. Don't eat the wall and be snagging on yourself and blaming yourself. These things takes time. But what I'm proud of is like you have information like no other person has information. Right? You have little tools that you can use to start something up. Right? You have things that you can use to make things happen right there. So I want to talk about brief thing, and then we can we Google during the exam? Egbami. If you like, even sit down with ChatGPT self. If you like, sit down with it. But the thing is, you will know what you know, and you will know what you don't know. That's just the truth at the end of the day. So if you like, go and use what not to generate code. You will know what you know, and you know what you don't know. And when you are doing interview, you will know what you know and what you don't know. So when they start asking you about the project that you have worked on. So I think we can talk a little bit more about some things, and we can wrap up to this class. I know a little bit of time stack took away most of the time, right? Me, I'm scared of time. Ordinary assignment takes me 10 hours. How much more exam? Let me tell you a joke. Do you know why most of the React ecosystem we are going for Tailwind? Do you know why? Most React ecosystem or general, it's just because people cannot style anymore. People don't have the strength to style. It's just like we can't sit down and be writing long styles anymore because there's a lot of things to even do. And just the truth. So you just want something you can just copy from somewhere and just quickly slap on the whole thing and then let it work. You might not like the response, but it's nobody wants to write. See, I mean, I have my own mentees, or do they call it mentees? Or what do you call people you're mentoring now? I don't know. Yeah, I have people that I mentor that still like write, normal CSS and all this other stuff. But just the truth is like, just imagine the stress to like build something from scratch. No, it is way much. Yeah, it's way much difficult, right? So Tailwind sort of just helps to move fast because as you're right, the more you write Tailwind, the more you know those things to do. Like padding, right? You know margin, you just know the style classes to apply. The more you use them, right? So it becomes a second nature. It becomes a second nature as you just go ahead and you're writing. So you know every little detail. So width, your width to be width hyphen something, right? So you kind of like can quickly write it. So that will not give you too much of stress. Then how many of us have used something like Trello before? How many persons have used Trello in this class before? How many persons have used like a Trello or a linear? Is it ClickUp? What are their names again, Seth? Now, ClickUps or yeah, all these other kind of project management tool, Jira, Trellos, and all these other guys. Yeah, they can help you to make sense out of your time if you need to. And I think GitHub project has one. How many of us know that GitHub project has one? GitHub project has one. So what I would do is I'm going to do something real quick in the terminal in your presence now, right? Pay attention to this. I think I have. If I cd into Next, yeah, I learned this from somebody as well online as well. So there is this particular code base here that has it has like, maybe when I do it, you will see it. Let me just quit talking. So the first thing I want to do is create a new repository online on GitHub. GH create repo from scratch. XXX 3x, right? XXX public, no, no, and then yes. So we have a repository called XXX. No, I don't want this. So the name of the repository is XXX. Then if I open this code base there, this code base has I've been doing some scriptings and stuff here. So it has like an environment variable here, the name of the repository, and then it has the name of the repository. So I can say this is XXX here, right? And then this is like a token that I generated, right? It has expiry. I think I set some expiry on the token. It has two permissions. The permission is project, I think project, GitHub project, and GitHub project and repo permission. Those are the two things. So inside of this place, you will see that what there is epics, right, and there is stories. So you can see that what these are stories about a particular project. These are stories about projects. This is what your PM do, right? How many of you have PMs? So if you have PMs in your respective place of work, for those who are working as engineers, right, you will know that this is what your PMs kind of like do. So what I would do here is that I will come to this place here and locate the XX repository that I created, XX. And then if I do this here, create this here. By default, there is a project, there's a project tab here. Some of you might not have this project tab by default, right? You need to go to the settings to enable the project view. So, but I think I have it by default because so you can create a new project here. And if you create a new project, it will, so you can give it, search for Kanban. I think you can search for board. Is that how you use board or Kanban? Kanban. So if you do this Kanban here, and then we can call this sample, and then we can create this project. So you can see that it will create this board for us right here. And if I run a particular script now on my computer, if I run, where's that folder again? So this is the project here, and then if I come to this place, so this is it here. And if I check my package.json, if I go my package.json, there's a start that can run, npm start, right? And then, so if I come to my terminal, I can do clear, and I can do nr. I think I can do s, just do s. So what this would do is, this would take my token, take the repository name, and take my username on GitHub, and use it to create certain things for me, right? And so you can see that it found the sample project, and then it's creating these labels, and then it's creating these issues, and adding the issues to the project, right? It's creating all of these, jargon. So you can see that this is programmatic hacking and all these jargons that we can do as software engineers, So what this would do is that this will automatically generate, a set of stories for a particular project that you're trying to work on. And then you can be moving it as you are doing it. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. So it looks, you can see how much time it cost me to set everything up. It is very fast. So I am thinking that I should be able to do something like this for you, for your exam. I'm not sure yet. All things being equal, if I have the capacity to do it, yes, I should be able to set up something like this for you. And then you can just go to the repository, clone it, and run all these things that I just ran now with some explanations, right? And then it will create some interesting things for us. So it's still running, right? And I think it should be 47. This has 47 issues, right? For all of these. So this is done. And then if we go back to our browser here, and then we go to the repository. So you can see that these are all the what? These are all the issues right here. And then when you start working, you just move this one here in progress. And then you're going to write the code for that one. And then you can click on it here. And then to tell you what that expects you to do, what that particular portion expects you to do. And then the funny thing is when you're doing it, right, you can check it. I've done that one. I've done this one, right? I've done this one. I've done this one. I've done this. Like, it's just very step-by-step-ish. And then you can do it. And the thing is, when you create your project using the pull request approach, if you create your project using the pull request approach, it will be closing the issues themselves. You don't even need to close the issues. It will, because if you look at the repository, back here, it has created I think it has created some issues for me on that repository. I think so. So if I go to XXS, so if you come here, you can see these issues here. So it has created issues here, and everything has labels, right? Everything has labels. Right. So if you're using pull request approach to do your own project personally, it will automatically be closing the issues automatically. So it's a kind of smart way to work if you want to really move fast and time yourself accordingly. But somebody will say that, if you're working in Nigeria and there's NEPA to think about and there's whatnot, you might not be able to keep up. But again, just running a simple CLI will set up everything for you, outside of the ones that you have to manually do yourself, right? So that would generate a Kanban thing for you for free. and that Kanban will guide you on the steps to take. Just like, I don't know if you understand what that means. It will guide you on the steps to take to get the project done, right? From beginning till the very much end. So things you need to check, there will be user stories for every one of them too. So it's hard, to be able to, how does it know about the project? Somebody's asking me questions I cannot answer now. Again, I mean, we're just using API to create GitHub issues and all whatnot. But again, it's a repository on my GitHub. You can just check it out if you want to. Nothing special, nothing too. Don't let me say nothing special. I like to say nothing special too much, but yeah, there's something special, but there's nothing too much that you can't comprehend, right? It's just talking to GitHub APIs basically to create things for you and whatnot. So, but I think that kind of thing can help for people who want to be helped. Some people might not like the approach, right? So it's up to you. It's up for grabs. It depends on you. It depends on which one works with you. So if I create something like this for you, will it be helpful? I don't know. It's up to you guys to decide if that will be helpful in any way. But it has to. You have to walk through the instructions to help you to guide you on how to because you only have like 7 days. So let's see if I'm able to create one for your exams, right? And again, it is very, very simple, trust me. And I'm not sweet mouthing this because everything that is happening is inside of what? Inside of these data here. So even if you don't like my own, you don't like what I've put there, you can change it. You can edit this. Go to your own, this one, go to all these things and edit it, whatnot. And then all you just need to do is what? You go to your package.json. Package.json says what? Start the project. Just run npm run start, right? There are some tricks on how to delete everything as well if you want to, but I don't think it's your business to delete anything for now. So, and it's just a way to assist, to make things structured and to make things a little bit disciplined when we do that. I saw this from another person online doing it, and that's why I felt, okay, yeah, this might be of advantage, right? For anybody who is just starting. So, it can be used for any task, not necessarily exam. Anything you're trying to do, it can just be useful for it that way. So I think my time is outrightly up. I don't want to stress you guys beyond the normal today. Yeah, I will still talk about the data fetching, right? Don't worry. Data fetching, pagination, and a little bit of state management. I think we'll still have some time to talk about them, right? So, any questions, any concerns before we end the class today? Did we say we were not having class before? Did they say we were not having class before? Did they say we were not having class before? You will give us the exam info. Thought there was holiday for Nigerians. There's class. Yeah, I think during the last time when there was a public holiday, we had class as well. So I believe there will be class. Yeah, I believe there will be class. And again, go through the notes ahead of time. Go through the notes ahead of time to see all these things that I want to explain, especially with the state management, pagination, and whatnot there. So yeah, I think the last class on Friday might just be a little bit lengthy, maybe. It might be long unnecessarily. So imagine as people are eating Ileya meat, and then I'm grilling you with code on a Friday. Is that not going to be good? Or when is the Ileya festivity itself now? When is the Ileya festivity itself? When is the whole killing of the ram itself? Okay, it's a good day to cause problem. So I can imagine like maybe my family friends or cousins that they would have people visiting them, and you can imagine people are visiting you that day and you are writing code on the laptop. Is that not a very weird one? It's a very weird one. Right. Don't worry, you will find Ayomide. Why are you asking me now? Is title permitted? I think we should just stick to JS for now, right? Let's just stick to JS for now, right? Let's stick to JS for now, for sanity's sake, please. Yes, I'm too happy because I want to see you guys. I want to see you guys proceed further to like the third semester. I mean, we've been talking about certain things for the past 4 months. I think it would just be good to take a test on that thing to see where you are, to see how faithful you were. I mean, it just logically makes sense to. But again, it's good to see some of you suffer. I know you've made me suffer too small. So to see you suffer small, is it not going to be good? And I mean suffer. The suffer is like good suffer now. good suffer. Not the bad suffer, not the bad one. And I think, okay, let me even say this too for API as well. There'll be APIs for sure. I don't know if I've mentioned this with you guys before. Have I mentioned this with you guys before? The JSON. So if you have a project, for example, the contact me that we talked about today. That contact me that we talked about today. Where's that app again? I think I still have it somewhere on my computer if I've not closed it. The contact that we had on our computer earlier, it uses like local storage to mimic API calls, and everything is inside contact.ts. So another thing you can do is that I can turn this into a JSON object. So let's just copy this now. If I turn this into a JSON object, copy, and I can say new file and say contact.json, and then we can paste this here. Oh, where's ChatGPT, please? I need paste this here. Yeah, you want to say something? Someone wants to say something. Turn to JSON. I can't stress myself. Yeah. So copy this, and then we can paste this. I think we can paste this back here, and then we can paste this here. So this is the JSON version, and I can do look at this. I can do npx JSON server contact dot, I think we can do src contact dot JSON, and this will turn that JSON into a server. Yeah, it will turn. I think I need to turn it into. So if you want to know the npm package that I'm talking about, the npm package is JSON server JSON server npm. So the npm package can turn JSON into APIs for you. It can turn. So it can turn. So again, this is a db.json. Yeah, I think I see my mistake there. I need to adjust certain things. So I can say the first part is going to be. I think let me see it again one more time. Yeah. I think I need the route. The route is, I didn't put the route there. So we can just make it a general object here, and you can say contacts, and then contacts, and then you can say contact is equals to this array, and yeah, and then I can then start this up and say npx JSON contact.json. And it will turn that JSON into an API, that contact into an API for you to use. At least that's a very fast way to quickly get an API easily. So again, so you would see that it created something on localhost 30, right? And the route, what are the endpoints that we have now? Localhost 30. So if I go to 30 here, it will tell me, you can see now that we have JSON API here. So I can wire this up into my application when I'm starting my application. It's a very cheap way to get an API to wire your application up real quick. So yeah, go ahead, Mashallah.
Sir, this JSON server of a thing, I think it works when you are working on your local system. But when it's time to be like, maybe you want to push to GitHub, then you want to access that API you created. I don't think it's worked that way because I've tried it before. Then
yeah. At least that's what I'm saying. Like, at least for the first start, when you're working local now, it gives you API to at least to use, right? And then later on, you know, the idea of any API is like for you to swap out something back to use for any standard one that you're using for production. Okay. And another thing again is like there is JSON place server. How many of us know JSON place server? JSON placeholder, whatnot? What they call their name? JSON placeholder. Yeah. Place. I'm tempted to give you this one to play with, right? Or maybe I should give you one that I've created, because sometimes I usually remember that I'm a full stack engineer too, so I can cause trouble too on the other side, right? So I can flex my backend skills and cause. I think I have it somewhere on my page here. You have the JSON server. There's one that you can use with your GitHub. It can serve your db.json directly out of your GitHub. So there are a lot of them that you can use. You just need to really like do some level of research to be able to. But it's not my business to talk about it. That's why I'm not going to talk about it too much. For anything you're doing during the exam, we will give you a URL that you're going to be getting information from, and hopefully the URL should have documentation. So I think part of the problem is like if I just go ahead and build one, yeah, the documentation will not be solid because as I am a one-man battalion now, it will be difficult to just write a detailed documentation per se. But thanks to AI too, right? There's AI to just help us to scaffold what, because what is an API without testing an API? And there's you need documentation to be able to test, whatever the API is doing to see whether it is. Most especially if you're going to be using API keys. I'm still doubting whether you will use something like an API key. Okay. If I give you one that has like an API key, it means that I want you to maybe do something specific. I want to see how you can use API key. I want to see how you can research to protect the API key. I want to see how you can use something called .env, right? These are researching that you have to do for the exam as well, right? I want to see how you can think to. So if you use API to create something, then you will be the owner of that thing, right? The person that is creating will be the owner of that particular resource. And if you don't append, you will not be able to. So there are a lot of troubles that we can cause, when you look at it there. Or should we create like an implementation of like a login or a sign up, right? So when you register, you sign up, and then you have power to create certain things. So again, just be open and prepare your mind for the worst case scenario, right? Prepare your mind for the worst case scenario right there. And again, try to focus on all the examples I've been showing you, right? There is something similar to what you'll be doing in the exams in some of the things I've talked about today. Yeah, you just need to pay attention. I think the thing with students is that when you hide something in the things you teach them, students will not pay attention to it, and people don't check the URLs, right? People don't check the URLs. Even the class notes, people don't check them. Only very few people get back to me and ask questions about certain things too. So I think the point is be diligent enough to check every box possible, right? Check every box possible and use your friends in this situation. Leverage your friends, leverage the community that you have around you, right there. So yeah, it's just 7 days, and then we are back to normal after 7 days. Third semester is going to be project all through, back to back. Like literally, like every weekend we'll have like something to do in the third semester. Again, we're switching everything up beyond this semester. This batch is going to be different. So if you don't want to write code, you can't be here. If you don't want to write code, you can't be in this particular batch, right? I don't know anything about Authorbo. I've told you not to disturb me with Authorbo, and don't guilt trip me. Abdul Rahim Olawale, yeah, go ahead. All right, Abdul Olawale Abdul. Okay. Yeah. So I think for every other conversation we can use Slack if you don't have any question, and then we can bring the class to a close. All right. So
Sir, please, I'll reach out to you. I'm having issue with anytime I start any project with maybe trying to use PMPM, it will work, but then I will not get the node modules folder. I've tried all my best to research and.
Which browser are you using?
I'm using
VS Code. Sorry, which VS Code? Is it VS Code? Not VS Code.
Yeah, I'm using VS Code. I'm using custom also. It doesn't work.
But when you install the packages, does it install the packages?
No, it doesn't install anything at all. If I start with PMPM to like start the project, the project will come to life. But then anytime I want to like start the project using the browser, if I run PMPM run a dev, it's not going to work. It will be telling me that I don't have node modules. Then if I do PMPM install, right, it will run as if it's installing. But then at the end of the day, I will not get the node modules folder, and I can't open the project.
And is it Windows or a Mac?
Mac.
Maybe we can try. Yeah, we can look at it together, or we can try installing the PMPM. Have you tried?
I've installed. I've uninstalled it. I've installed even to the latest version and everything.
So the thing with PMPM is, PMPM has some weirdos, especially when you install it wrongly in the first instance, because it uses a global storage. Don't forget, I think the reason why it is fast is like it uses a global store behind the scene. So when you install two things directly instantly, it's only the first one that is eating the API. The next one is cached from their store. So there is a particular folder in your computer where they keep their store. So it's likely that their store is not allowing a read write on your own computer. So we can have folders on our own computer that doesn't allow read write. So we just need to check the permission of what the store is. I think if you install it finish, they will tell you to run some extra zh command or bash command to specify the folder where it's going to be storing things. So it is that particular command that I think is probably missing behind this. But we'll probably look at it together. And then, yeah, we can find time to look at it together. Yeah, but I think for now, you can just, is there a way to remove it?
Yeah, I'll remove it.
So if you want to, again, the process of installing depends on how to remove. So if you install with npm, and that's why usually, I think I prefer to install PMPM with npm. so that it's easy to just remove. Like install it as a global package. So do npm hi g hyphen g pnpm, simple. So the day you don't need it again, you can just do npm uninstall hyphen g pnpm and it goes away. But if you install through any other means now, then you need to understand the peculiarity of that other means. So let's say you're installing with Brew, or you're installing with all of these installer stuff, or you are installing with their own CLI themselves, because I know they have their own CLI too. So if you're installing with their own CLI too, there might be some commands that you need to run after that installation that is kind of missing too, right? But don't be focused too much on PNPM. At least for now, you can install Born and still get the same speed, right, of what PNPM is doing. Basically, the speed is close, even though PNPM is still way ahead, but the speed is close with Born, right? And you get the same. And NPM is not bad. It's just yarn. It's just yarn that I don't want to hear, because I don't know who uses yarn at this stage of their lives anymore. So, yeah, that is it. All right. Yeah. Then, how was the assignment though? Converting the existing project to React. How was it? Hard? Simple? Easy?
Is are you asking me like personally?
Just generally. You might be the person to speak for the class though.
No, let me speak for the class.
Who thinks it's very simple? It's too simple. Is anybody here that thinks it's very simple though? Very simple. There's nobody that thinks it's very simple here. You are not honest. You're not totally honest. What if I say we should add routing to that assignment? But enough. Talk. We have a lot of catching up to do, roughly. Been doing it since Sunday. I'm still not done. I guess it's a timeline. Okay. God is your strength. Do we need an extension? Can we confirm? Do we need an extension? After exams can never work. After exam can never work. How will I grade you? And that's not even fair to me as well. Yeah, maybe I think the best thing is let's just submit and focus on exam too, so that I can grade. Maybe we should just submit tonight, and we can focus on exams. Or we can do Friday before lectures. We can do Friday before lectures on Friday. Okay. So maybe we can let's try to do Friday before lectures. All right. And again, please try to submit for your CA. Don't forget attendance is part of it. Don't forget your is it ACA rank now or which one now? Lead code. I think they're also grading your lead code this semester as well. It's not my responsibility to remind you all those things, but they are grading all those things. So if you want to really pass, you need to ensure that all these things are in place. Yeah. All right. Do enjoy the rest of your day and have a wonderful night rest. And okay, did I say lead code is next semester? Sorry. I said lead code is next semester. Okay, that's I don't know. I thought it. Did I say lead code is next semester? Sorry. It's next semester. How come people don't know what they are grading you on? Thank you, Oyekachi. Okay, I'll confirm myself, but I know it should be this semester. Yeah, Miriam.
It's this semester.